Welcome to a visit with Nana and Papa. I'm Nana.
I'm Papa.
And today is the 30th of July, which should be Samantha's birthday. So happy birthday, Samantha. Sam. She doesn't like being called Samantha. And I don't have a lot of knitting, but we're gonna do a special treat and ask you some questions, mostly. But we'll go over the stuff. So this is the broadleaf. It is brioche. I modified a lot on this sweater. So what I'll probably do is just do a separate video for this sweater because of how much modifications I did.
But it's beautiful. It's one of my favorite sweaters.
I do love it, and I'm thinking I need to make another one.
Baby, you got so much stuff you gotta make.
Not in this colors and not in this pattern, but another brioche sweater. I enjoyed making it anyway.
When you ain't got nothing else on the needles, you can contemplate something else.
Oh, trust me, that I'll be contemplating something else every single day because that's what I do. And I could cast on. There's a cast-on party next Sunday.
I know.
For Karen at Recreational Knitting.
I know.
Anyway, so broadleaf, Madtosh, I want to say pecan something, but I'm not certain. And then I don't remember at all what this yarn is. It should be in my Ravelry. And then on the back it's an orange, like a cream color. And that one is, I want to say it's Grab Your Drink too, as well, but I'm not certain. But it'll be in my Ravelry under the broadleaf. And then my only other knitting is I'm almost done with both sweaters, but they're not done yet. So that's my whole knitting.
That's it?
That's it.
That's it for the knitting?
Yep.
Wow.
And then,
that's pretty short, huh?
Yep, your movies.
Only one movie. What was that? Haunted Mansion. Okay, Haunted Mansion has gotten some really crappy reviews if you go read Rotten Tomatoes. The people who actually went and saw the movie liked it. The people who got paid to go watch the movie, not so much. I'm not sure what movie they watched. The movie I watched was a fun, enjoyable movie. And it's that much scary. She might even be able to go to it. I'm a question mark, but your kids could probably go to this movie, but I believe it is PG-13, so bear that in mind unless you spend lots of time up at night counseling your children after they are scared out of their little wits. I would not take small ones to it, but it's a good movie. It's got a star-studded cast. Owen Wilson, Tiffany Haddish.
Was it funny?
Oh, yeah.
Because with those two, it'd have to be funny.
It's got a lot of humor in it. It's got a lot of sight gag humor in it. Danny DeVito is in it. So we haven't seen Danny DeVito in anything in a long time. So this is he's pretty good. He's a good Danny DeVito. Jamie Lee Curtis. You won't even recognize Jamie Lee Curtis when you see Jamie Lee Curtis in this.
I love her so much.
Mostly because most of the time you see Jamie Lee Curtis, you only see her head. And it got some makeup going on. So, Haunted Mansion, good movie. Anybody tells you it's garbage, raise an eyebrow, go anyway. If you don't like it, sorry.
Let me know. Comment.
Always comment,
Anyway.
Good, bad,
Books.
Otherwise, comments. Once again, just a sales pitch for AMC A-List. The beauty of A-List is you pay $20 a month and you can see 12 movies. If you don't like this movie, you don't even have to watch the whole movie. You can just get up and walk out and watch 11 other movies. Highly recommend one of those 11 would be Barbie. Good movie. Told you last week. Now, moving on to books. I read a few books this week. Finished the books by this series on Stephen Conley. Read the last two books. The Mountain, which is about the industrial-sized pot farms going on in the Redwood National Forest. Believe it or not, that's a true thing. there are some supersized illegal pot farms being grown on our state forest, national forest, and
Anyway,
crazy. But that's what the mountain is about. It's about Murder Mountain, and anybody that's not local pot farmer probably doesn't live long enough to leave the mountain and tell everybody, you should see the pot plants I saw. Okay. Yeah, but the last book was Skystorm, and it's basically about some super rich people trying to get even more rich by making illegal weapons and selling them to countries that plan on invading other countries. Not going to mention any names, but it's the last book in the series, and it gives a nice, tidy little wrap up to the cast of characters. Stephen Conklin.
link will be below.
He's a Navy veteran and an author now, so give him a check out if you like him. Good. If you don't like him, don't read him more. Once again, the ultimate act of censorship is yours. You don't like something? Don't read it. Don't watch it. But don't tell other people they can't. That's their censorship. Cloak Games is a series by Jonathan Moeller. And the main character in its name is Nadia. It takes place in the future on Earth, but it's got some really funky things happen. See, in the year 23 something, elves ripped open a rift between their world and our world and kind of invaded, kind of escaped their world. Their world was in the middle of a civil war, so the royalty and the nobles and everybody left their world and came to ours, and because our world was in the middle of a bunch of wars and they were pretty much like gods, they just came in and killed everybody that was in charge and took over and said, if you start acting up and being warlike, we're going to come in and kill everybody, so don't do war. So Earth has enjoyed 300 years of peace under the reign of the elves. Interesting precepts, but when they broke open this veil, they let magic in. And now humans can do magic. Not all humans, but some humans. And Nadia is one of those humans. And this is the story of Nadia and her brother. And it's an awesome, good story. But you have to start out with the first series and read those 12 books. And then you can move into this series where I'm on book 5 of 9. And book 5 of 9 is Cloak of Iron. And the only way to kill elves...
You gotta stop telling the stories.
I'm not telling the story.
No, but you're
I'm
telling
enough to be interested.
No, you're telling things that happen that you know that happened in the story, which they wouldn't have known until they read the story. So you can't do that. Just say you enjoyed it. That's
Y'all
me.
want some plot line?
That's me.
Send me a message and ask me if you want some extra details before you invest your time in reading these books to see if they're really your cup of tea. You can just tell me,
can say
and we won't tell her.
This is fantasy and it's a romance and there's some fae in there.
I'm not reading K.F. Brain.
I'm just saying, you say what the heck.
K.F. Brain is fantasy and romance, and I love K.F. Brain. She's got just got some wacky ideas. You love K.F. Brain, but K.F. Brain's a dirty old lady, and she just writes some absolutely pornographic crap that she doesn't need to, but she does because that's what sells. That's what there is a big market out there for middle to old age women who want to have light grade reading porn.
It's okay. They can
big
enjoy
market
it.
for that. Big market for that.
It's just not my cup of tea.
But if you want to read these books, you got to start out with Cloak Games and then move into Cloak Mage. And
that'll make more sense. In other words, you wouldn't want to start.
If you just grab Cloak Mage book 1, it takes up where Cloak Games ended. So there's a whole lot of stuff that has happened that you don't know and don't understand, and you may not enjoy the books nearly as much if you have not taken the same ride with Nadia as if you had gotten on the bus when she started driving it.
Fair enough.
And Nadia is a terrible driver. She plays bumper cars with the bus, I'll tell you. Just crash bang, crash bang. That covers the books.
Okay. So 5 years ago, or I think it was 5 years ago, a whole bunch of podcasters did these questions to their significant others or their companions, whatever. So I figure we should ask you.
Doctor Who was a knitter?
No. Are you ready?
Sure.
What's your favorite thing I've ever made for you?
A green sweater.
Okay, and
Want my second favorite thing?
what's your favorite thing I've made in general, not specific for you?
I don't have one.
Okay.
Because, see, this was one of my favorites, but the one that you designed for the coral that you made yourself, that's also one of my favorites. And you got lots of them that I like a lot. So that's like picking a favorite child. You don't do that.
Okay. And so, does it annoy you when I knit in public?
Nope. That's part of my wife. She's Valerie Needlehands.
Does it bother you when I drag you to yarn stores?
Yeah. Baby, we've been married 20 years. I've gotten no... Did it ever bother me? I'd take you into yarn stores and I would buy you yarn.
Yeah.
And I would say, and you're like, what? I said, do you need all that? Yes. Why? 'Cause is enough reason that if you just love your wife, you buy $200 worth of yarn and it's just 'cause. You know why it's 'cause? It's 'cause you love your wife. That's why. Yes, dear.
What's the coolest thing you've learned from my making? Knitting, spinning, crochet, whatever.
The coolest thing I've learned?
Yeah, what have you learned from my making?
Don't talk to somebody who's counting. You know, I've seen videos where guys that know their wife is counting, guys that their wife is a crafty person, and they'll be counting in 5, 20, 15. If I was the significant other for that person, after they got out of the hospital, they'd be talking to a lawyer. Because I would take a knitting needle and I would spike something very near and dear to them, but not that close to their heart, and let them count. Here, 1. And while you're screaming and crying, you go, if you haven't got to 2, do you want to? That is very rude and unkind to interrupt somebody while they're counting. And if you were doing it, if you were counting something, don't know what you would be counting because I don't know you, but if you were counting something and your wife was doing that, you'd get all kinds of 7 different shades of pissy with her and yell at her. But if she gets mad at you, she's just being a bitch. I don't know what got your panties in a wad. You. If you don't know what got her panties in a wad, look in the mirror. You will see exactly what got her panties in a wad. There you go. Next.
I love you.
I love you too.
Does it bother you when I buy yarn? Be honest.
If you needed yarn, I tell you, when you need yarn, go ahead and get it, babies. And then I look at the wall that has a car of yarn.
Yeah, we'll get to that. We'll get to that.
We'll get to that. Oh, that's coming. Because I know. Somebody bitches about the quality of the car, and then I'll just turn around and look behind you. You got a car on the wall.
What do you think about our doing this videoing?
Technical difficulties.
Technical difficulties. So we're going to go back to, what do you think about podcasting?
I have fun with you, bubbies. That's the only reason we do this. We do this for fun. And if you enjoy watching it, then that's awesome. And if you don't, then...
Or it's not your cup of tea?
To quote Arnold Schwarzenegger, hasta la vista, baby.
Do you think I'm addicted to yarn?
Yes. If there was a 12-step program for yarn, I would have you enrolled.
What are the different weights of yarn?
Somewhere between light and heavy. I know you're asking for fingering weight knit, double knit, worsted weight, all the other.
Well, some of them, that's good.
Aaron weight. I don't know who Aaron is, but Aaron, You had to have screwed up righteously in life to have a weight of yarn named after you. Just saying. Yeah, have you ever heard of a Kate weight? Jan weight? Becky weight? No, but there's an Aaron weight. Aaron, you're a weasel.
All right, and do you have a favorite dyer?
Valerie Fisher.
I love you.
Yeah, I see she makes some pretty awesome stuff. She makes some nice dyes. A lot of the stuff you see her wear, she can't tell you about where to get the yarn because she made it.
And there are some.
See, once upon a time, it's been a while.
Been a while.
There was this woman who could take fleece off of a sheep and card it and comb it and get it into roving, and then take the roving and spin it into yarn, and then take the yarn and dye it. And then she would take the yarn that she dyed and she would knit shit. But she lived in Wyoming where it was cold. So when she would spin yarn, she spun fat, bulky yarn because it's cold. Now she lives in Texas and she spins skinny ass yarn because it's not cold.
This is true.
But she still dyes, but she don't card and comb, and you don't do all that stuff anymore. I think you sold all your good stuff, didn't you?
I still have my combs. That's the only thing I still have are my combs. I
Combs?
don't have the hackle. I don't have the carding machine. I don't.
Combs are lethal weapons. I'm going to tell you
They
right now.
are very lethal.
It is a board with nails about yay long driven through it, and then you take and you put fleece and you whoosh, 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 whoosh. And if somebody comes up and interrupts your counting, you take one of your combs and you go swack, and they have.
No, they would be dead.
They would be. I know. Then they don't interrupt your counting anymore.
You would not. I would never hurt someone like that. Anyway, okay, and how much is...
Just interrupt her counting to see how much she'll hurt you.
How much is a hand-dyed skein of yarn at the moment? Mostly, average.
Probably about $30.
Correct.
I know.
And how much is commercial?
Well, now you got it. Are you talking same weight, same amount of yarn?
Range. What is the cheapest yarn you're aware of and the most expensive?
Red Heart Super Saver. They give you 2 skeins of yarn and a toaster for $50 or something like that. And mostly you're paying for the toaster.
Okay, just checking. All right.
She works for a yarn company, so we can't say anything bad about yarn because she works for yarn, but she works for a yarn company.
Anyway, if I asked you to buy me yarn, what would you do?
No, speaking of working for a yarn company, my 13-year-old granddaughter wants to get her allowance in yarn. Do you know what that, does that mean she's truly related to her Nana? Absolutely. If the people who take your money for your apartment would take yarn, Valerie would tell her company she works for, I'd like to be paid in yarn. But she wouldn't be.
Well, not this one. This is Thrive.
It doesn't matter. I'm talking in general. Holst. I didn't say that particular yarn.
Well, no,
she buys Holst by the cone.
But the cones are more economical.
Yes.
But, okay.
But, see, she gets cakes. She don't like cake. She likes pie, unless it's
yarn.
This kind of cake, and then this kind of cake is good cake. It's cake. My ass.
Okay.
You want a good cake? Dark chocolate cake with the pecan and coconut frosting. You take the German chocolate cake frosting, and you put that on a dark, like almost devil foods cake. Ooh, that would be good. Devil food cake with coconut pecan frosting from German chocolate cake. That would be very tasty. Very tasty. I would eat one by myself. Okay. I have eaten one by myself. Yes, dear.
Would you want me to yarn bomb the apartment?
No.
Yeah, I already knew that, but hey, it's on there.
It's on there.
Do you think that I am? Which of the ones do you think I am as far as when it comes to fiber arts? Am I obsessed, interested, or dabbling?
Obsessed.
Okay. What are you thinking when I go to a yarn shop or a festival alone? Grace. You could be honest.
I'm thinking you need a chaperone.
Gary's gonna chaperone me. And Stuart.
Gary, Stuart, if you're chaperoning, chaperone. Do not aid, do not encourage. And what is that? Enablers. Do not enable her addiction.
Okay. All right. And then, if I could make you anything, what would it be? I already know this because I already have it planned to make, but unless there's something other than that.
No, I still. Okay, I asked.
Okay.
Once again, technical difficulties. When you see the video shifting and our faces going from, oh, he was here, to, that's magic.
No, it's called editing. Anyway. All right. You were answering if I could make anything for you, what would it be?
The only thing I've ever asked you for in 20 years was a cable knit sweater. I do have two cables. I got a cardigan that zips up, and I have my green sweater. And neither one of those are the cable knit sweater that I asked for. But,
no, but we had lots of problems in making the cable knit sweater. So I'm hoping
she got some nice blue yarn. She was gonna make me a cable knit sweater, and because then you could see the cables, and it wasn't so hard for her to work. Since she acquired that yarn,
no, it's gray.
Gray, yes, gray.
And I have cast on for it multiple times, and the sleeves come out super huge. So I'm having to figure out what's going on, because I know that if I make you a sleeve where down here would fit up here, you're going to be unhappy with that sleeve.
That is a true statement.
So I'm just having to figure it out differently. But it's coming. I just have to figure it out. Anyway. So yes, I am aware of the cable knit. By the way, for all of you that know, I plan on making Timberline. Alright. And do you wear what I've made for you?
I do. Y'all have seen me wear it. Y'all have not seen me wear it all the time. I wear my blue sweater when I'm sitting underneath the air conditioning and she's out front hot and I'm in here cold. I put on my blue sweater and I'm okay. But my blue sweater, heavy sweater.
It's very warm.
After you wear that blue sweater for a little while,
you could probably wear it in the winter as a jacket.
You can take it off because now you want the air conditioning because you are hot.
Yeah, it would.
A wise man takes it off before he gets hot. I'm not a wise man. I'm a wise ass. There is a difference.
Okay. I'm scared to ask you this because I know you, but what else do you think?
And we're back again. Over here. Down here. Up here. Hey.
Sorry, battery issues, but we finally...
It's not battery issues, memory issues. Hey, speaking of memory issues, my sister going through boxes in Yuma, Arizona, came across a box, and inside it had lyrics to songs I had written, and right on the top page was CRS. I wrote a song called CRS. Can't remember shit. And then everybody would ask me to play it, and the problem is I couldn't remember shit. I could not remember the song. Now my sister has found the words to CRS, and the next challenge is to remember how CRS is supposed to sound, and then I can play CRS once, maybe. Because it's true. It's true. I can't remember shit.
All right.
Except that you got a car on the wall.
Okay. And how do fiber arts help me?
I don't know. You just fiber arts are a part of you, but it's just that's your go-to place. That's where you find peace and contentment. That's also where you find pain, really. But You don't have to go to Fiber Arts to find pain. You can just look around you and find pain. Shit, I just try and breathe and I find pain. Been a crap week for me on breathing and neuropathy. Today has been especially challenging. What, last 3 days have not been stellar for me?
No, they have not. It's been pretty rough. Okay, so this next one is how much do I spend a year on yarn. But we'll skip 2020. Because 2020, we just don't need to go there. Because I did calculate it, accurately calculate it, and yes, it's a car. I could have bought a car. But as a general rule, do I spend that much a year on yarn? Like I did in 2020. I do not.
Oh, we are not going to like I did in 2020. It's like I did in 2020. Hey, you know, I quit eating meat as much as I did when I worked at a steak restaurant and I could have a free meal every day. Then I had steak every day. Now I only have steak once a week. See, I eat a lot less steak. I eat 1/7 of the amount of steak as I used to eat because now I have to pay for my steak. You comparing, well, I don't buy as much yarn as I bought in 2020. Yeah.
No,
that don't count. And that is not an accurate comparison.
I'm just saying that I was not. I have been behaving much better than I did that year.
I'll give you that.
And this year, I have been very, very reserved.
You have been very, very reserved because you took all of the money you would have spent on yarn and spent it on going to see yarn.
Well,
and some friends while you're at it.
I'm not going to see yarn. I mean, I will see yarn, but that's not why I'm going.
No, you're going to see Jude.
I am. Well, and a whole bunch of other I get to see Miga. I get to see Stuart. I get to see Gary. I get Rebecca from Crayabea is going to be there. I'll get to see Aquila and John, but they're not going to Rhinebeck. But
yeah,
I'll
but
get
you
to
still
see
get
them.
to see.
I'll get to see Hayes. I'll get to see Rebecca. I get to see Caitlin, and I get to see Lynn, and I also so Miga's coming, Rebecca from the Crayabea. Amy Palco is coming.
If we ever win the lottery, we will come to a yarn
at
festival.
The Ready are going to be there. There's just a lot. Maybe Sue might be coming down. Sue from Canada.
If we ever win the lottery, both of us will go to a yarn festival in the UK so we can see our friends over in the UK. And we will let you all know, and we will all do a real cuppa. We will meet someplace that sells tea and actually have a cuppa.
I have to, if I go to the UK, I have to go to meet Stuart from the UK, Stuart. And I have to see Leslie.
One of the saddest things that will happen if we ever make it to the UK will be the fact that I can no longer enjoy a Guinness in the land of Guinness. And I can't have a Smittix. You want a good amber nut brown ale? Smittix.
You miss it.
But you have to get the Smittix from Ireland. Don't get the Smittix in England. Because they do bad things to the Smittix they sell to the English when they make it.
Yeah, but Ireland's not in the UK, so we would have to go to Ireland and the UK. They are two very different countries.
I know, but they're right next to each other, so you can sneak across the border and do a Smittix and
you
a
have
Guinness.
to swim some water to sneak across that border.
I'm not swimming shit. I'm taking a boat.
Okay.
They float, you know. And
what is the difference between knit and crochet?
Knit uses half as much yarn as crochet. Knit has 2 needles and can do twice as much with half as much yarn. When you only got 1 needle, you got to do a lot of looping and hooking and looping and hooking. And you know what? nobody ever looked at a knitter and said, "There goes a hooker." Well, they may have. I don't know.
So
if
what do you call
if you're down on
somebody that does
Colfax,
both? A bike crafter?
a yarn waster, a yarnaholic.
Yeah, that's probably fits. Okay.
My baby got hairs galore.
I know that. I'm aware.
Some of these are old hairs. You know,
I'm
some of
sure.
these hairs are from before you got your hair cut. See, that's the thing about my wife's hair.
It's everywhere, and you cleaning it still. You still find it. You find it everywhere. My hair is.
It reminds me of a Ray Stevens Christmas song. Santa's watching you, and he's got a little elf. He's everywhere. He's everywhere. It's her hair. It's everywhere. It's everywhere. You ought to watch that. Ray Stevens. He was a hoot.
I know, but he's a. Never mind. We won't go there. All right, and. How do you explain to other people that I knit or that I'm a knitter?
I don't.
How do you,
Why would I have to explain that to other people? If their eyes can't see that you're knitting, then what can I do? And if they can see that you're knitting and I need to explain, this is knitting. I don't think that we really need to have those people around any longer because what you doing? I am tying little knots in cloth with needles. It's called knitting. Dumbass.
What do you wish I liked as much as fiber arts?
Never mind. Used to be fishing.
Used to be. I still would love to go fishing, but I don't feel like hauling all the equipment to the water.
Yeah. With age comes wisdom. Nope. With age comes I can't carry all this shit. And now, if I was gonna go fishing, I got a little fanny pack fishing thing, and if what's in that won't catch a fish, well, that damn fish just didn't want to come home with you anyhow. Kind of like going to a bar when you're single. Casting, nothing. You go home alone. You go fishing, you ain't got the right goodies, you still go home alone.
If I were to die tomorrow, what would you do with my stash?
Well, shit, I don't know. I would. When I was letting all of your friends know that my wife died, I'd also let them know there's a stash sale. So, if you miss Valerie, buy her yarn, and you can make something out of her yarn in memory of Valerie. There you go. That's what I'll do with your yarn.
Do I embarrass you in public or at family events because of my knitting?
Nope.
What does your family think of my knitting?
They love it. They have some.
They do.
They think it's awesome.
What do you think I make most?
That is a dumbass freaking question.
I didn't write them. I literally copied them off of.
I don't think. I know. She is getting to the point where she could wear a different sweater every day of the month.
Almost.
And not run out of sweaters. And she's still making sweaters. And she's got, I don't know, a couple hundred sweaters worth of wool sitting in the living room.
It's not a couple hundred, but there's not a couple hundred. There may be 800 sweaters quantities, but there's not a couple.
What are you going to make a sweater for an elephant?
No, I don't.
How many skeins of yarn does it take to make a sweater?
It depends on the yarn you're using, but anywhere between 3 and 7.
How many skeins of yarn do you think are on that wall?
A couple hundred.
Should we make her count them? Would you all like to have her count? Would you like a real verifiable count?
So should we have a contest where they guess how many skeins and I count it for them?
You would have to show them the wall. We'll do that at a later date.
Okay. You can guess anyway.
You can guess, but what do you... That's like, guess how many jelly beans are in this jar, but you can't see the jar.
They can guess, and then we have to do some rearranging and counting.
That kind of guessing is called wild-ass guessing because you ain't basing it on nothing. No, you got a wild-ass guess.
Yes, it's just
I think she has 100 skeins.
But you just said that you think that there's a couple hundred sweaters quantities. I told them that I think there's a couple hundred. So they... can guess somewhere between those two.
I think there's a couple hundred sweaters, and she thinks there's a couple hundred skeins.
Yes.
Did you hear that? Yes. Before she said there was between 100 and 200 skeins. Now there's a couple hundred skeins. So, you see how this is morphing as it goes along? When you all guess,
if I said 100 to a 200, and then I just said there's around 200, that's somewhere between. I didn't say over 200. Anyway,
when y'all guess
whatever number you want to guess. Whoever gets closest, I'll give them a pattern. We'll do that. All right, and we'll count so he can know. Anyway, why do I knit?
It used to help your arthritis. Now it aggravates your arthritis. It used to calm you down and soothe you, and now it makes you cuss your yarn and get irritated. And
it still calms me. Most of the time.
You are very sympathetic to sheep, and you don't want them to have to stagger around under the oppressive burden of all that wool. So
I encourage their haircuts.
You encourage their haircuts to bring sheep peace of mind of knowing they're not going to sweat their ass off this summer. They found a sheep who hadn't been sheared in like 8 years, and how he could walk, nobody knows because he had these little tiny feet sticking out of this wool ball. And he was a miserable, miserable sheep because he was tucked in under like a foot of wool. And
he suffered too, physically suffered from it. All right.
Too much wool.
They need a haircut. It's just a fact of life.
In the real world, they would wear that off.
No, and the older breeds or the different kinds of breeds that don't need a haircut, those they just shed like a dog or a cat. But merino sheep don't shed. They don't have an inner and an outer layer. Anyway,
they are good sheep. I like merino sheep. God bless merino sheep, and if they ever go extinct, I will be sad.
What do you think my skill level is?
Awesome.
I love you. I'm way beyond. I mean, I have lots to still learn, but I love knitting. Do you prefer wool, cotton, or acrylic? They don't know your answer.
They absolutely know my. What am? Oh wait, but what am I wearing? What am I wearing? What am I almost always wearing? Wool.
That says base layer mechanics. They don't know that base layer mechanics.
Base layer mechanics is a 195 wool. That means it's 195 grams of wool. It's a thicker wool than the traditional summer wool, but the traditional summer wool, if you have a washing machine like ours and you say, oh, this says you can wash it in the washing machine. You know why they say you can wash it in the washing machine? Because you got to buy another one. Because your high efficiency washing machine will tear your super ass thin, very delicate merino wool shirt. It tear holes in it.
It will.
And now my nice green superwash merino t-shirt has seen its better years, and I'm going to tell you right now, a merino shirt like this might outlast you. Mine will outlast me because that's a given, unless I start doing stupid shit to my shirts. But
okay,
merino wool shirts, if you properly maintain your clothes, you could go out and buy one shirt a month for the next 6 months. $100 a month, and you would never have to buy another shirt because you would have a clean shirt every day except for Sunday, and then you can just run around naked because it's Sunday. It's Sunday.
All right, so can we get back to you?
We can.
Okay. How many subscribers do we have? That's one other question.
I have no freaking idea.
Okay. And what do you think happens on a knit night? When people get together to knit?
I know what happens on a knit night. I'm sitting right there listening to y'all while you're on a knit night. Sometimes I actually have to get out of my chair, walk in the other room and say, hi, y'all, and contribute because I know exactly what happens on a knit night.
Okay, and do you know how many followers I have on Instagram? I don't know how many followers I have on Instagram.
No.
Do you watch any other podcasts?
I do. I watch Barbara. I watch Leslie.
You watched?
Who's that? Gemma?
Gemma B. Makes?
Yeah, didn't I watch some of her stuff?
Yeah.
And
Karen, you've watched her podcast. Recreational Knitting.
Yeah.
And Wild Irish Cottage.
Yeah, I like that one too. And there's that girl that you asked me to watch to help her get up to her number, the little Scandinavian girl. Puts all this shit on her head.
Oh no, that's a different one. But you did watch Benta.
Oh, yeah, they'd watch a lot of Benta.
And you watched the gal that put the stuff on her head, but
what's her name?
Can I not? I could see her face. I met her when we were when I was in Baltimore. Oh, what is it? Tea with Biscuit. I think it's Tea with Biscuit. It's her podcast. She's a hoot. And then
I'd have to go look at my YouTube, but usually
Knitting Traditions. You also watched her.
Knitting Stew.
Yeah, the Knitty Stew. You've watched her.
What are the two crazy women?
Which?
Yeah, which two?
Are you talking about Grocery Girls?
I don't think I've actually watched a Grocery Girls other
You
than
just
being standing there watching them with you or hearing them with you. No, these are.
We Share Needles.
Yeah, those girls.
I love We Share Needles.
So
I want to go hang out with them in person.
But
All
generally,
right. You watch Gary though too.
Yeah, I watch Gary. Generally, if I watch somebody's thing, I will make a comment, which I want y'all to make comments. But so I go and I make comments.
Not always, but you do try to.
I generally make a comment, and sometimes I comment on other people's comments.
You also watch.
Leslie got new drumsticks, look like needles.
You also.
She didn't show them to me.
She did show them on the podcast on her month end.
I hear the month end. I don't always see the month end.
I'm sorry.
Now I got to go watch the month end so I can see Leslie's drum needles. That would be cool. How do you knit and whack? That's going to be a really loose weave.
What?
I guess you would use super bulky.
You also watched another podcast that's not knitting. You watched the one guy with the wood.
The wood lathe, yeah. I don't know his name, but...
Oh, it's so good. If we can find it, I'll link it down below. I really, really enjoyed watching. He was doing woodworking and using epoxy and...
But he is kind of wasteful.
Yeah.
He is kind of wasteful.
Oh, no, that one guy was really awful. Was it the same guy?
I don't think so.
There's one guy I just like, oh, dude, that is such messed up.
He makes this big, fat cylinder, and then he grinds it down to... it's not that bad,
but it was bad. Anyway, let's see. Do you have a favorite podcast besides ours? Like one that you really don't want to miss, or...
Once again, I don't do favorites, so
okay.
No, I don't.
If budget didn't matter, Would you want me to make you a cashmere sweater?
I don't care.
Would you wear something I made even if it didn't turn out as intended and was a little wacky?
Yep. As far as the cashmere thing goes, I don't know that I know anything about cashmere well
It's
enough
just
to
supposed
say.
to be super soft.
I got merino. Okay, if you got merino, do you need cashmere?
Well,
Really?
nobody
Do you?
needs it, but
And
anyway.
does cashmere last? Does cashmere just feel so soft? It's so soft. Is it so delicate that life happens? Merino, you get thick enough merino, it can handle a little life happening.
If you could set a budget that I would have to adhere to for yarn, what budget would you give me monthly?
Till you finish knitting your car, none.
Do I need to go on a fiber diet? Do I need to go on a fiber diet? Stop buying fiber and yarn?
Yes. If we had a fire in our apartment, once upon a time, I would have tried to save my guitars. She's got more money tied up on that wall in yarn than I got tied up in guitars. And once upon a time, I had 13 guitars.
They don't anymore. I'm sorry.
I'm selling my guitars. I'm selling my guns. I'm
I know.
selling everything because
Okay, you've kind of mentioned it a time or two. Can you guess the value of my yarn stash at the moment? Now keep in mind, you know what I spent that year, but I've knit a lot of that yarn already.
I have no idea. I'm not going to put a dollar value on it because that would just make me sad, and I don't need to be sad, so we're not going to go there.
Okay, then these are pretty quick. These are more knowledge. What is purl?
Pearl is a back-ass word knit.
What does woolen mean? WOOLEN. If you don't know, that's okay.
It's made out of wool. That's freaking stupid. What does woolen mean? What does Oakenshield mean? It means he's got a shield made out of oak, and he's a dwarf, and his name's Thorin.
That is
Thorin Oakenshield. I used to be Thorin Woolenshield, but I found down there, lost my arm, and now I make it out of oak.
Woolen that's not what it means.
Okay, what does woolen mean?
Woolen is a type of spinning that traps air in the yarn, so it's a lighter.
No, that's what that
area
means in regards to spinning. You didn't say that. You asked,
I know,
what
but-
does woolen mean?
Okay.
And you want me to ask that bitch over in the corner,
No.
and she will tell us what woolen means. You
What?
don't like her.
Okay, I'm sorry. What is ply?
Ply is taking lots of little skinny ass strands and melding them together and making a not so skinny strand. And then maybe you take those and you make another not so skinny strand, and it turns into rope.
All right, and what is superwash?
Superwash means that it has been mechanically altered so that it can take a bath in a washing machine and not fall apart.
It's chemically, but yes, they chemically strip the burrs off the wool so that it's slick.
Slick.
All right, and
Hey, I got car salesman wool.
do I prefer straight or circular needles?
Huh, circular.
And
Yeah.
what is brioche?
That.
All right, and who is Stephen West?
Stephen West is a guy who's a millionaire because people like you buy his patterns.
All right, and what are blocking pins for?
Blocking.
What is blocking?
Blocking is you wash your thing, and then you stretch it out on this foam, and then you let it dry. Blocking is how you get the intricate little spider web bullshit that you put at the bottom of that one sweater to actually look like spider web instead of being all curled up, nappy good, gooba gooba.
What are my favorite Neo brand?
Chow Goo. Do you have anything besides Chow Goo as a favorite? I don't think so. I know you hate Boyd.
It's Boy. B-O-Y-E.
No, it's B-O-Y-D.
No, it's B-O-Y-E.
No.
Yes, it is B-O-Y-E. And yes, I do not like their hooks, and I do not like their needles. What do I lose all the time?
Your mind.
What else?
Stitch markers.
Do I have a favorite yarn? Or a favorite color of yarn?
Angela, back me up on this. Isn't her favorite color of yarn the green that you sent her? Shit, I wish you could speak through the phone, Angela. What the heck's green? Whatever that green is. I think it starts with a T.
It does.
So.
Do you know who dyed it?
Not off the top of my head. I've heard the name a lot.
I want to meet them at Rhinebeck.
Well, that narrows it down to maybe 100 people. So you just
most important. Whole reason of going. Whole reason of fighting so hard to go.
Jude.
Yep. Good guess. That's all the questions I have. Do you have any questions for me before we round this out?
No, because we got, between our half a dozen videos, you're going to have, this is going to get turned into part 1 and part 2.
Maybe, maybe not.
Or it's going to be all by its damn self, because this question and answer is long.
I know, but we didn't have really anything to really talk about yarn-wise, and we didn't have hardly anything book or movie-wise. So, it just is what it is.
It is what it is.
Thank you so much for watching, Mama. We love you.
Bye, Mama.
Really quick, I will be posting separate videos for a couple things this week, including the upcoming knit-along class, whatever you want to call it. Have a great week. Bye, y'all.